Señoras, señores, muy buenos días. Da comienzo el acto académico. Pueden sentarse. Miembros del claustro pueden descubrirse. Bienvenidos a este solemne acto de investidura de don Iñaki Gabilondo y don Carlos Herrera como doctores Honoris Causa de la Universidad Europea de Madrid. Tiene la palabra la señora doña Elena de la Fuente, secretaria general de la Universidad Europea.
El Consejo de Gobierno de la Universidad Europea de Madrid, a petición de la Facultad de Ciencias Sociales de la Comunicación, acordó por unanimidad la concesión del doctorado honoris causa a don Iñaki Gabilondo, por su rica trayectoria en todos los ámbitos del periodismo y su extraordinario papel como impulsor y actor de la transición informativa y mediática en nuestro país, así como por su lealtad y compromiso con los valores y principios democráticos. Asimismo, el Consejo de Gobierno de la Universidad Europea de Madrid, a petición de la Facultad de Ciencias Sociales y de la Comunicación, acordó por unanimidad la concesión del doctorado honoris causa a don Carlos Herrera, por su actividad profesional marcada por la excelencia en la radio española, su capacidad de influencia social desde una visión comprometida con los principios y valores democráticos, con sentido trascendente y en favor de causas dignas y profundamente humanas.
Decano, secretaria general, vayan a buscar a los doctorandos y a su padrino y acompáñenles a sus asientos. Pongámonos en pie para recibirles. Miembros del claustro, nos cubrimos. Pueden sentarse. Miembros del claustro pueden descubrirse. Miembros de la mesa presidencial, señora doña Elena de la Fuente, secretaria general de la Universidad Europea, señor don Francisco García, decano de la Facultad de Ciencias Sociales y de la Comunicación, señora doña Elena Gómez, catedrática de Redacción Periodística, padrino de los doctorandos, don Antonio San José, profesor, presidente de los consejos asesores universitarios de comunicación de la Universidad Europea y reconocidísimo periodista. Autoridades, excelentísimo señor alcalde de Villaviciosa de Odón, don Raúl Martín Galán, presidente de la Universidad Europea, don Miguel Carmelo. Por supuesto, Of course, all those who represent the COPE group here today by offering the radio program here from our campus, and they are transmitting this Honoris Causa event. Dear professors, dear students, colleagues and friends who are here with us here today in person and those watching the streaming. Good morning, and thank you very much for attending one of the most heartfelt events of our institution, not only for what it represents, but because of who the protagonists are. It is an honor and a pleasure to welcome you to this ceremony where Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo and Carlos Herrera will be awarded Doctor Honoris Causa by the Madrid University. Europea. On behalf of all the people who make up this university community, please allow me, Mr. Gabilondo and Mr. Herrera, to express our total satisfaction as you have accepted our highest academic recognition, as well as the fact that you are now joining our faculty. With this ceremony, we are fulfilling a long tradition that is directly and profoundly linked to one of the most noble university missions, to recognize merit and to pay tribute to those who have dedicated their lives to cultivating knowledge, to sharing it, and to transmitting it to society. Therefore, we are very honored to welcome to our faculty two prestigious communication professionals, thus recognizing their professional and human values, which for so long and so well embody the values we want to transmit to our students. Throughout their careers, they both have demonstrated an unwavering and decisive manner, a firm commitment to offer information to their audiences, and above all, and in addition, a social commitment that truly deserves to be recognized. Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo, through his extraordinary role as driving force and actor of the media and information transition in our country, as well as through his loyalty and commitment to democratic values and principles. Mr. Carlos Herrera, for his professional activity marked by excellence on Spanish radio and his ability to offer social influence from a vision committed to democratic principles and values, always with meaningful significance and in favor of dignified and profoundly human causes. Ortega and Gasset, son and grandson of journalists, stated in 1930 the three missions of universities: teaching to train professionals, scientific and humanistic research, and the dissemination of culture. It is undeniable that these words by Ortega, almost a century later, are still valid today. Our mission is to teach to learn, more than just transmitting knowledge, to provide our students with a global learning experience that will help them to become more cultured, better professionals, and better citizens. University stimulates and inspires. And we are convinced that masters like Iñaki Gabilondo and Mr. Carlos Herrera, exponents of journalism to be highlighted, are and will be a constant inspiration for our professors and our students. Both of them have a track record capable of awakening vocations among those who have a desire to learn and to add value to the society they live in. In these times of uncertainty, events happen at a very fast pace. Times marked by the value of the short-lived and by too much information and disinformation. Digital journalism and traditional journalism, contents that are tweeted and via social media reach millions of people all over the world almost immediately. Such times require reflection and analysis and need professionals who are ethical, responsible, rigorous, and with perspective. This is why it is so valuable that, for years now, the voice of Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo and Mr. Carlos Herrera have been and are part of our daily lives and our common history. As Emily Dickinson, the writer, said, "I know nothing in the world that has as much power as a word. Sometimes I write one, and I look at it until it begins to shine." That is the feeling one has when you listen to or read something by our two new doctores honoris causa, because both of them, from respect, have been able to make words shine. They have been able to offer us the best version of the responsible practice of a profession which has such an important impact on our lives. They have both set a trend in the world of journalism, and they have made the everyday word a territory that is accessible to all, a meeting point that is transited daily by thousands and thousands of people. For all these reasons, today, as they join our institution, I would like to defend the value that these everyday words as an almost magical space that we must take care of, and especially those, like our students in the Faculty of Social Sciences and Communications, will make it their profession and their passion. Dear professors, let us continue to make every effort so that our students are demanding professionals with regard to what they do and what they say, always based on reflection, discipline, and perseverance. Let's promote critical thinking in the classroom, which is very necessary to discriminate between noise and truthful information. Let us encourage our students who fill our classroom to ask questions and to work based on effort and excellence without taking shortcuts, which is how history confirms that you can write success. Success as a mark the professional path of these two doctors who today join our faculty. I speak on behalf of the entire university community of institution of the Universidad Europea in Madrid, Valencia, the Canary Islands and Portugal to express a common feeling of admiration, pride and gratitude to Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo and Mr. Carlos Herrera, who today join the excellent faculty of professors at this university. Thank you very much. This academic ritual requires that a member of the university teaching faculty granting the awards publicly states the professional merits of the doctors who today we welcome to our faculty. Therefore, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Elena Gomez, Professor of Journalistic Writing at our university, who will offer the laudation of the candidates. Madam Rector, President of the Universidad Europea, authorities, academic authorities, faculty, PhD students, dear friends. I would like, if I may, in my first words to express my gratitude for having the honor to offer, on behalf of the faculty of the Universidad Europea, this laudation of the two people who in a few minutes will become part of our university community as doctors honoris causa, Mr. José Ignacio Iñaki Gabilondo Pujol and Mr. Carlos Herrera Cruzet. As Pliny the Elder, born in the year 23 AD and who died in the year 79, said, "Vita vigilia est," that is, to be alive is to be awake. And being awake is not only the opposite of being asleep, it is also to question, and to question ourselves, to ask, to be curious. attitudes that, without too much effort, we can relate to our journalistic activity, to which so many years and efforts the honorees today have dedicated. If journalism is based on observing, listening, interpreting, and narrating, very little can be explained to Iñaki Gabilondo or Carlos Herrera about the journalistic profession. Furthermore, it is more than likely that the vast majority of you know a lot about them, because listening to people day after day allows us to get, in general, a reasonably accurate image of who they are, how they react, and how they think. Objectives that, by the way, are also typical of journalistic interviews, to which both have dedicated many hours. However, every ritual has its requirements, and now it is the time to list some, as it would be impossible to name all, of the things they have done while they were developing their professional career of the two people who today will join our faculty. Things that have not always gone in parallel, nor have they necessarily met at the same ideological point. And on numerous occasions, in fact, they have been openly divergent, which is typical of the media plurality, both expected and desired in a democratic society. Iñaki Gabilondo was born in San Sebastián, Carlos Herrera in Cuevas de Almanzora, in Almería, the Bay of Biscay, the Mediterranean Sea, the freedom granted by the line of the horizon, which, as it can't be seen, can easily be reached. This must have left its mark on their genes to later on become very clear in their voices. Regardless of his university studies, philosophy and literature and journalism, in the case of Gabilondo, medicine, in the case of Herrera, both from a very young age showed a great inclination towards the profession of journalism. Herrera, in fact, said in an interview that in his first year of medicine, he had already taken his first steps on the radio, and when he passed his last exam subject, he had to interview the professor 20 times to show him that he liked journalism more than medicine. Also, when he was young, when he was just over 20, Gabilondo began his career on Radio Popular, which later became COPE in San Sebastián. A few years later, he became director of Radio San Sebastián, the Cadena SER. After spending time in Seville, he landed in Madrid in 1978 to direct Hora 25. In 1980, he became director of Cadena SER News Services, and in 1981, director of the news for Spanish national television. Radio, however, lured him back, and in 1986, he began his Hoy por Hoy program, where he remained until 2005, combining it at times with different programs on Spanish national television. In 2005, he started to present the evening news daily on Cuatro TV channel, and in 2010, the news on CNN+. From 2011 to 2020, he published his video blog, La Voz de Iñaki, in the El País daily newspaper. And if these references have been offered very briefly, in a more or less linear way, I've just done it like this to try and offer something in an orderly manner. As according to Stendhal, a novel is a mirror carried along a main road. Over the years and along the route, there are many more activities on which Gabilondo has reflected, activities that have interested him and in which he has participated. And he has reached many, many people with his questions and reflections. For his part, Carlos Herrera, once he had convinced his professor of medicine that he preferred journalism, a change of subject which, in some ways, relates him to other illustrious names that, trained in medicine, are better known for their literary works, such as François Rabelais, Anton Chekhov, and Arthur Conan Doyle, for example. He began his work for Radio Sevilla, and a few years later for Radio Mataró and Radio Miramar, and then on to Radio Popular. In the 80s, he presented the evening news on Spanish national television, and later the program Sábado Noche. In 1990, he joined Cadena SER with Coplas de mi Ser, and on Canal Sur he presented Las Coplas. In 1992, he began to present La Mañana on COPE, and throughout that decade, he continued to collaborate with Spanish national television with the magazine show El Programa de Carlos Herrera and the program Así es la Vida. With the turn of the century in 2001, he started working for Onda Cero Radio with the daily program Herrera en Punto, which shortly after was renamed Herrera en la Onda. Since 2015, he presents Herrera on COPE. It is also worth mentioning his collaborations with the written magazine Excel Semanal and the daily newspaper ABC. Some of his faithful followers have their own special name. They are his fósforos, matches, and as a great expert of the Camino de Santiago, St. James's Way, I'm sure with his every day, when he greets pilgrim on the way along, he says, let's go further, let's press on. In short, let's see what images this mirror and this road have in store for us today. Their professional careers, therefore, have given a lot, not only in terms of their participation in different media and formats, but also in terms of the multiple awards received. I will refer here, just to mention a few, to the numerous Ondas and Antenas de Oro awards that they have both won, without forgetting other distinctions awarded both by colleagues and by different kinds of institutions. I also have to mention that throughout their professional careers, both have given uncompromising examples of their commitment to democracy and human rights. Just as an example, it is worth recalling Herrera's words in a well-known interview with the El Mundo newspaper in April 2017, when he pointed out that a society will not be free without the freedom of journalism. For his part, Gabilondo, in an interview that appeared in the newspaper Público in June 2018, he indicated that journalism consists of telling in stories that may be of interest and that allow us to act as citizens with criteria in society. It consists of giving citizens elements of judgment so that they can understand what happens and why it happens, so that they can participate in this collective adventure. Observe, listen, interpret, and narrate. The journalist, says Pulitzer, has a position that belongs only to him. He alone has the privilege of shaping opinions, reaching hearts, and appealing to the reason of hundreds of thousands of people daily. Each new day is, according to Pulitzer, is an opportunity for journalists who have the trust of the community and who can address them. We cannot choose what happens. We cannot choose reality. But it is the responsibility of journalists to interpret it as faithfully as possible, so that the interpretation is accurate and useful for those who listen. In this work of analysis, which is an interpretation, Gabilondo and Herrera, Herrera and Gabilondo has always helped us to wake up, regardless of the time or the media of their program or their collaborations. And if they've helped us to wake up, let's remember Pliny. They have helped us to live. For all the above, although maybe with what I've just said, that in itself was enough, I would like to ask the rector to proceed with the investiture of the journalists, Mr. José Ignacio Gabilondo Pujol and Mr. Carlos Herrera Cruzet, as doctors honoris causa of Universidad Europea. Thank you very much. Now, we are going to continue with the investiture of Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo and Carlos Herrera as doctores honoris causa of the Universidad Europea de Madrid. could Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo and Mr. Antonio Don Jose come up to the stage. And please, all members of the faculty, could you put your hats back on? Yo soy aquí. For the authority I have been granted, I would like to give you your certificate so that you can show it to whoever necessary. Please receive the medal of your degree so that you can wear it with true pride. I would like to give you the ring to people who received in this ceremony so that you can use it as a seal, all the consultations and documents that you need for our science and for our profession. Now, the Dean will give you the Book of Science and your white gloves. Please receive this Book of Science, which you should use to disseminate and cultivate. Please remember that however big you are, you should always pay tribute to your masters. I would like to give you here your white gloves, which are symbols of prudence and honor. And you should always maintain them during the exercise of your position. Finally, please receive your academic cap. Please wear it on your head as a sign of your knowledge and your merits. Now, you have to say the honor of this, your rights and privilege, and you always have to offer advice whenever required to do so. And for the authority that I have, I would now like to ask you to join the faculty of the Universidad Europea de Madrid for the merits and the honors of all its members. Congratulations. Finally, it's a sign of peace and cordiality that you should exercise. I would like to ask you to embrace your sponsor, the Dean, as representatives of the members of the faculty of the university. Now we'll have our photograph taken. Thank you and congratulations. Now, I would like the doctoral student, Mr. Carlos Herrera, and his sponsor, Antonio San Jose, to come up to the front, please. For the authority that I have been conferred, I would hand over your certificate so you can show it to whoever necessary. Please receive the medal of your degree so that, as from now, you can wear it with pride. I would like to give you the ring of the seal from our masters so that with this you can seal the reports, consultations as a sign of your knowledge and your profession. Now, your dean will give you the Book of Science and your white gloves. Please receive the Book of Science that you should cultivate and disseminate, and remember that you should always respect and preserve the respect of your masters. I would like to give you white gloves, which are a symbol of prudence, honor, and the strength, and they should always be conserved by your hands when you exercise your work. Please finally receive your academic cap, a symbol of the highest level. Please wear it on your head as a sign of your knowledge and your true merits. Now, you have to save the honor of this university, the rights and the privileges, and offer advice whenever required. And in virtue of the authority that I have been conferred, I would like to include you in the faculty of the doctors of the Faculty of the University of Europea and its members. Congratulations. Thank you. And finally, in sign of peace and cordiality with which you should exercise your scientific work, I would like to ask you to embrace your dean and your sponsor in the name of all the doctors in our faculty. Congratulations.
Muchas gracias, enhorabuena.
Thank you very much and congratulations. Please take your seats. Members of the faculty can now take your caps off. I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Iñaki Gabilondo to offer his speech to be a new member of this faculty.
Magnífica rectora,
claustro, dean, faculty, the people from the administration and services at the university, students, future colleagues, friends, authorities. It's an enormous honor. I really am very grateful because it seems like it's a way of some sort of transfusion of the vitality of a young university that tries to be in the avant-garde of knowledge and tries to devise the horizon. And I'm saying this with true thanks. And I receive it with, should we say, a complimentary thanks due to the fact that, you know, it is also being given at the same time to Carlos Herrera, who's been a colleague for many years, sometimes on the same boat, other times on a different boat. And sometimes we're in different ways, but we were always united for our true passion for radio. A radio that I've always think it was like people have always thought it was sort of like a younger sister or brother of the television. Some people thought it was, you know, old and tiring, but in fact it maintains its true vitality and it has a great future ahead. In the name of this radio, I would like to receive with true pleasure this true honor today. I'm going to give a very brief speech, which I would like to be focused on, and it's for the young students. I would like my words to represent a message of hope. Times are very turbulent. Confusion is enormous. We are living in uncertain times. This is a society of stupid. Everything worries us in our world, that of communication and journalism, more especially in that. We're under the impression that there is an enormous cacophony of different voices, of which those that are right or not, the decent ones, the undecent ones, are all mixed together. And together they give this big wave of information that's very hard to digest. This reality is what the situation you're now going to join. But your expectations should be expectations that are truly founded, because society has already detected that there is an enormous problem that is being created as a consequence of this enormous disordered wave of information that comes, and it's now here to stay. We will fight against fake news, and everyone will fight against this, the police, the universities, and citizens. But it will still be around forever. This enormous universe is difficult to order signals. Why? Because this is how societies have done it. It's a self-defense. They are claiming positions that can be used of reference and solvency. And so that is the work you have ahead of you. You will become reference points to be independent, to be decent, and for education, and to have good principles, because society needs it, and it's going to look for you, and they're going to require this from you, because it's necessary to be able to understand what's going on, and they need you to start to understand it yourselves. A few years ago, I worked in CNN Plus, and there we had a slogan that they can still remember that was saying, "You're watching it now, it's happening now." And you have to feel proud of this slogan. And that's when they showed things just with a background noise, just as an exhibition of the most absolute lack of activity, an action that was not affected by anyone. It was the actual things going on that we showed off. But we were seeing it, and we saw what was going on, but we were not really understanding anything. We thought what could have happened would be maybe the rain that happens after a long time of waiting, or the 11th day of rain where we're seeing the drama of big floods. We are needed to be able to understand what's going on, even though we can't see it, to put it into context, to set it in a frame. So you have to be ready for this task that will take place in a world, and will not a change that happens today. It will be changes that happen continuously, and they will leave a lot of the things obsolete. The tools of the technological playground that now seem to be outdated, they will be, next week, they will be outdated, and they'll be replaced by other ones. All these elements today, you know, that are the backbones of the business, they will change. Someone will die, others will be amended, and other ones will be created by this is ourselves, this is the present, and it's normal that you're worried about things, that you're even scared by things. But as my friend, Arbun said, live in the present, but don't just be obsessed with the present, because the present ends very soon. You need to look at stable elements of the present, and then you will get another present world, which will also go by very quickly, and that will be marked by whatever you do. I'm sorry to repeat what I've said over and over again, because it's just not something that I'm just adding. I'm truly convinced that I am obliged to talk about what's going on to the last moment of my life. You shouldn't be affected by the landscape that is offered by the current reality, because present times end. What is going on, and what comes behind what's going on has not been written yet. It will depend on whatever you do, whatever you don't do, and whatever you are going to allow to be done. So you have to know that you are going to be the builders of the future. You are necessary. You need to be sound people with a lot of criteria, with good education. You need to be constantly have lifelong learning, and you have to have ethical principles. Good luck. And thank you very much to the faculty and I feel truly honored at this moment to have been awarded this Honoris Causa. Thank you. Now, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Carlos Herrera to offer his speech to be a member of the faculty. The academic authorities, students, family. I like to agree from A to Z of what Iñaki has just said, especially when I'm very fond of him. I could also start to talk and never stop all morning of all the things that I have shared with him and so many things that we've learned together. I was born, as you say, to be a doctor, but unfortunately, I then moved into journalism, specifically for radio, because it's journalism, but it's something extra. If it hadn't been because I was decisive, today I would have been an ordinary doctor. I don't know if I would have been happy, but I would be about to go to be retired, like all the people who studied on with me. But I haven't, I'm an ordinary journalist, but I've been very happy. And I have lived very happy in my professional career because I've been able to dedicate my time to something that I always dreamt about. And I have found the people that I could work with. So for this reason, journalism, and I would like to add my own reflection to what Mr. Gabilondo has just said. At the moment, we have this complete mass of information, but we're listening to it, but there's a lack of analysis on the information we receive. But in spite of all this, everyone seems to be in a hurry. We have to recognize that the press has done, should we say, it's the loudspeaker of what goes on in society, and it's been very useful. There's been lots of excess, but it's also been a way of how power behaves. It's very difficult to find people who at a certain time of their lives have never wanted to be a journalist. And maybe it's even more difficult to find a journalist who has never thought of stopped being a journalist throughout his career. So that's a paradox. So you get the mystery, the grandeur, the misery of a profession that is really basically summarized as someone who wants to know something. So if there had been a witness between Adam and Eve, or maybe even the snake, I'm sure that they would have loved to explain what had gone on. And that we would have been reporting what had happened between Adam and Eve. And so, you know, there's certain things are not true. But we have to be close to the events, and then we have to explain them to the citizens, and we have to be as close as possible to the truth. And generally, we don't really experience everything. So it's a very intellectual work, and it's always developed between emergencies, and none of them justify the fact that whoever gets first do not have to obey the protocols of our profession. So you shouldn't have the answers before actually questioning and defining what's going on. And when you have the answers, try and explain them, saying who you are and what you actually do. Because you're an intermediate between the life, the event, circumstances, and the right to inform citizens. Because we, the journalists with the Constitutional Amendment, we are just mere messengers. I don't know if people who want to be journalists, and as I say, people who want to be journalists often want to leave our prison. Why? Because we're invited to all the parties, but nobody really wants us to be there. Because we're not politicians, but we're with the politicians. We are not business people, but we live alongside them. We are not stars, but they do shed their light on us. We are not notary publics, but we give faith to what's going on. We're not powerful, but we live alongside power. And we don't change anything, but we provoke changes. It's all a matter of a slight clarification. We are the indiscreet eye, this impertinent words, and we are this pen that is ready to write about what is going on in the world. And we sometimes, when we say what should be happen, Frank Zappa said, well, he said it about musical journalism, but I'm sure it's worth applicable to journalism. He said journalism, he said people who don't know how to write people, and they interview people who don't know how to talk, and they do it for people who don't know how to read. But anyway, so this sounds very pessimistic, despite the fact that some of us, you know, try to reveal the truth. But there's not the time at the moment not to do this, because journalism is an expensive good. Institutions become totally enclosed with and wanting to shed very little light. Ideas and prejudice sometimes overcome the ideas. And it's sometimes called people are deaf, and that causes distortions in the way the message is sent out and listened to. Journalists are not perfect, but we should be honest. Iñaki and I, we have tried to be honest with looking at things and with a different voice, sometimes different voices looking at the same things, but no one is right. But we have always tried to offer reasons, which is a different thing. And that is where the plurality of society is, in the fact that there are sufficient voices in the choir so that we can reflect all the different things. And among them, we have this special space of welfare and coexistence. And then we have limits that can be negotiated between everyone. It's not easy to be a journalist because it's not easy to be a citizen. What Jacques Persoon, a historian in Italy, said, it's a change of era, not just a change of period, a change of era. But I think it's actually something more than that. But as I've learned a lot, and all these centuries behind the microphone, every day is different. But there's something that should never change. That is a surprise. Curiosity for these small things that happen. The need to know before you actually explain what is going on. So with effort and being humble and making sure you explain to study what's going on, and you are to try and guide people to a better place and to alarm of the dangers on the way and to show them where their destination is and probably the most comfortable and happiest one for them. So to give me this doctorate, as my advisor said, it's like you're giving a violin to a monkey. My family, who unfortunately have passed away, they would be very proud of this because and the fact that today I have the recognition of an organization that is so honorable, as you say. So this challenge that you have led is something that will be something that's in my mind, and it's something that is a history that I've narrated. Life is started with a picture drawn by a children or people who are looking for remote controls, or the stories of my personalities, or the chronicles of the people, the fantasy of which is make sure you look for the right words. And through this, you can travel to places where nor time nor possibility have allowed me to go. I knew the world through the sound from a receiver. And there I have traveled without any limits because of the imagination of my masters, because I really wanted to reach all these impossible things. I wanted to be like them. And today I'm happy to have been, shall we say, at the ticket office of their expectations. But I have this, thank you. I would like to think of all the generosity you've given me to make me this Honoris Causa, because I am someone from a very small town, and for me this is a great challenge. I will wear this cap when I walk around Seville, and I will be moving my head around, and I will be touching all the people that I meet in the center when I go to the market or to the shops, wherever I go. But fortunate enough, I'm sure I'll be allowed in everywhere. And I said I was a kid, and I was always listening to the radio. And we watched the radio as if it was something special. And we thought that inside, that there was all these exciting things. And some of us, you know, we had all these ideas in our mind. I was that kid who used to sit in his bedroom and could see the universe, because the universe was summarized into that person who was talking on the radio. Now, when I was talking, or when I spoke on the radio, I was always doing it for someone who was there, maybe alone. And this person and me were together. We seem to be the only people in the world. And so for this, I maintain the fact that journalism is important, but radio for me is something absolutely unforgettable, and it represents a million things. As also, it is very perceptive, and especially in frameworks like us, to have an appointment and, you know, some things, as you say, some things, the most expected cause the most impact. And as Bruce Merwin said, don't worry of looking for something, because you won't find it. And as the poet said, I would give up now, in fact, but I haven't got time to give up. Thank you very much. Now, please stand, and we'd like to sing together our university hymn. Members of the faculty, please could you put your caps back on? We would now like to bring this investidura ceremony to an end. Thank you very much to everyone for being here, and I would like to congratulate yet again our new doctors. This event is finished. Thank you very much.